Oh, we're streaming. Sorry, I should have made that clear. Yeah. Yeah. All right. We're live. Go ahead, Axanar. Oh, jeez. All right, hold up, 1 second.
You hear anybody? That's the
Okay,
question.
it's fixed. It's fixed. I'm sorry.
It's fixed.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, this is
This
man.
is a mess today. I'm sorry.
Tech is as crappy as Axanar Confidential.
Ah,
Okay.
okay.
All right, let me.
I
Sound
updated
check.
video drivers, and that was a problem. Apparently, it did
There
not
we
work
go.
that.
Hey, everyone. Okay.
You're
now,
in.
now you hear me. All right. So let's start from scratch.
All right.
Welcome everyone to Nerdcasters with the new improved Nerdcasters lineup. We say our fond farewells to Matt Jarbo, who we still wish continued success.
We love Matt.
We love Matt. He's awesome. Matt is one of I've known Matt for like 3-4 years. He was one of the first YouTubers talking about Axanar way back when, so during the lawsuit. So love Matt, but Matt has stepped aside. He just couldn't fit into his schedule. And we have the lovely and talented Crystal Hubbard with us, broadcasting from upstairs in our house. And I am downstairs in the basement. I got relegated to the basement, to the unfinished basement, as you can all tell here. So I did not have time to go out and get the green screen we have at the studio and put it up, but I will. Anyway, hey, let's say hi to all the Nerdcasters here. First, as you're looking at them in the upper left-hand corner, is Shane Montgomery.
Woo!
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good today, Alec. It's been a fun and interesting Monday, but it is only Monday, so come on Tuesday. Let's hurry up.
We got to get through Monday first. I hear you. So after and down below him is his brother, believe it or not, same last name, same beard, Brian Montgomery. Brian, how are you and yours doing?
My computer melted down last week.
I know. It did, didn't it? I'm like, oh great, the guy in charge of all of our technology loses his computer.
I have an amazing computer that was hand built by yours truly. And last week, in the middle of a render, the power went out in my house, and obviously that did not work out. And it took me 3 days to get it back. While I was getting that back up, I was also releasing videos for ourselves. So there's been no time to sleep or rest, just constantly trying to squeeze out videos while fixing tech at the same time. So
damn, yeah, I know. Listen, you and Shane work your butts off. I do know that, and so it's always, and it's so good to have you guys really driving the. You're the power behind the show, Nerdcasters. So
Well, Brian's the power. I look pretty, so it's good.
yeah, he's the
face.
face.
On everyone's lower right is JP from Egotastic Fun Time. JP, who is the JP is the oracle of Seth Trek of the Orville. You are the oracle of the Orville.
I'm the Orville evangelist.
You are. You know, if you want to talk about all things Orville, you go and watch Egotastic Fun Time, because he is the freaking man. It is a great show. So and we both saw the last episode. Time, what was it? Tomorrow, whatever the hell it was called.
Tomorrow. But then the follow-up to that is The Road Not Taken.
Yeah, we haven't seen that one yet. So we were like, whoa, what?
Won't spoil anything there, because that's a game changer.
That's
okay. We're not going to talk about Orville tonight. All right, and then on the upper right, the lovely and talented Crystal Hubbard. Hey, Crystal, how you doing?
Hello. Doing great, guys. Hello.
If there's anything wrong with her tech, it's my fault.
Probably, yes, always.
Well, it's her fault because she doesn't know how to do it, and it's my fault because I know barely a little bit more.
No, it's your fault because you won't even show me what you're doing. It's Warhammer all over again.
Yeah.
Always your fault.
I'll show up every week if you guys just have a fight every time.
Here's my advice: don't ever get married. Wait a second, I'm not married.
We're not married. I got one. We both have escape plans. Are you kidding? We're not stupid.
I know. I'm just waiting for the day where I'm going to be permanently relegated to the basement. That's it. But all right, so let's get right into it because we have all seen Avengers Endgame, and I want to hear what you guys have to say because what is it, $1.2 billion in its opening weekend? How insane is that? I don't even know what was the previous record, 400 million or something?
In a weekend?
Numbers that we can't comprehend.
Yeah. I mean, it is insane. I woke up this morning and I went to my favorite Box Office Mojo app, and I looked at that and they were like $1.2 billion global debut.
Somebody needs to watch the video.
Well, I think they spent 18 billion to make the thing, so I don't think it's a lot.
I do. Listen, I really do want to know what the 3-day total was. Not the 3-day total. What the budget, the production budget was, because they generally don't tell you what that is.
They made the whole thing for $6,000. Dude,
it had to be. If they spent they had to spend $400 million. It's a 3-hour movie. I mean, if it was so I'm guessing.
Well,
Dave, you saw it?
Yeah, just in actors' salaries alone. I mean, it must have cost them a fortune. So, it's probably somewhere upwards of probably a little south of what JP said, around 300 million. But I will tell you, on opening weekend alone, they crushed the domestic box office record, which was owned by Avengers Infinity Wars, previously 275 million. And now they broke that by 100 million. So they're 375 million for opening weekend. That's just amazing. And then, of course, it's already the largest movie in China from an overseas box office already.
And it all makes sense because this isn't a movie. This isn't a blockbuster. It's not just a big movie. This is the culmination of a decade worth of movies.
Right.
All brought together and represented.
Yep.
Yeah. No, have to.
We bought the ticket 12 years ago. We just been waiting.
Yeah,
we were kind of lucky
exactly
too.
Right.
Because we bought our tickets late. We bought our tickets like on Thursday, and then we still got good seats for the 3:30 showing. So I was kind of surprised. But
I bought my tickets 5 minutes after they went available, like a month and a half ago, and I can only find one seat in my local theater. And I looked around at other theaters, and there's 25 theaters in a 10-mile radius, and I couldn't find a decent seat. I couldn't even take my wife and kids. I'm taking them this weekend because here, where I'm from, everything was completely sold out for the first 5 days.
Which theater do you go to, Brian?
Century.
I totally depends on where you are.
I'm a Cinemark person, and I'm in Orange County.
Yeah, so where do you go in Orange County?
I'm afraid I don't want to.
Oh, you don't have to tell me. That's okay.
I go to the Century in Orange County. That's where I'm gonna stop.
Because they're gonna be over there waiting for him, Alec.
Right next to the adult theater.
And they were playing 24 hours. They were playing for 24 hours, and there were like 6 theaters inside of a Century 25 theaters. There were 25. There were 6 of them were playing Avengers. They were all sold out except for that one at like 1:45 in the morning.
Yeah.
I found one good seat at 1:45 in the morning. I got out of the theater at 5 a.m., dude. And we did a show.
That's the story I'm hearing everywhere is that people had to go and like the next day be out of the theater at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning on Friday.
I did that. I remember doing that with when the prequels came out. I had to go to a 1:45 showing. What's funny though is I went to a 1:45 showing, Brian, but it was 1:45 in the daytime, right after lunch on Friday.
Yeah, I went 1:45 in the morning. There's some weird characters at 1:45 in the morning at a theater. I was sitting next to this dude. I said it on our review, but I was sitting next to this dude. Big guy, like easily like 400 pounds, big dude, burly guy, giant beard, like ZZ Top beard.
Named Thor?
He had like a hat on. It was backwards. One of those kind of guys you just expect him to be like, after the movie, he's probably riding away on like a Harley or something. And spoiler alert, when someone bites the proverbial bullet, he's right next to me, like blubbering, crying the whole time. He's crying like loudly and whimpering. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just like shocked, and like yes, it's a sad moment, but you would not expect this guy. I mean, I'm telling you, if you see him, he looks like one of those twins. You remember the old twins from the '90s that rode the motorcycles? He looks like one of those guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Those
Real big dude, big old beard, like kind of guy you don't want to play with outside at 1:45 in the morning, and he's crying during that scene, just blubbering the whole time.
It's like, calm down, Hagrid.
Calm down.
Yes, it's
We
Hagrid.
expect that from Hagrid. We expect that from
Hagrid, Hodor. Yeah, one of those guys.
Well, listen, if you were one of the 3 people in this country who hasn't seen Avengers Endgame already, we're just going to tell you there are spoilers ahead. So
Yeah.
I definitely recommend not watching this if you have not seen Avengers Endgame.
And you
'cause
care.
We're here to talk about the movie, not just, hint at it. So
And if you haven't seen it, Thanos dies.
Yeah, a couple times.
Oh, shit.
The weekend's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The weekend's over, so we could talk about it, and also the whole point of this is to talk about it. So if anybody tuned in, it's reading the title, it's your own fault.
That's right. Okay, so done with the spoiler alerts. So let's just start with some real high level. Did it meet your expectations? Okay, Shane, did it meet your expectations?
I mean, I'm satisfied.
I'm gonna be right back.
I don't believe that it's probably. See, as soon as I start talking, Crystal does this every time.
Every
She's like,
time. Just leave
Yeah,
the
she's
room.
got the right
Every
idea. I'll
time.
see you guys later.
And there goes JP.
okay, there goes JP.
Yeah, I'm leaving
I'll
too.
stick around, Shane.
Let me tell you what. Yeah, it was the best movie ever. No, I actually thought it was an awesome culmination to the end of it. I feel like the Russo brothers had to do some things in order to tie all the bows and make it perfect. And had they not had to do that, could have made probably a little bit better ending. Then I think that's probably the case. But overall, I think it was completely satisfying. It had emotional ups and downs. There were personal moments with all of the main characters with very important people in their lives that they hadn't been able to touch, which I thought was a really nice touch to the movie. So ultimately, yeah. And and I think that's exactly what I think of Crystal as far
Sorry.
as so
Yeah,
sorry.
Dogs went nuts.
Crystal has I have the same problem with Crystal right there,
So sorry.
There
So
we go.
sorry.
That's what I really think of Crystal. So there we go.
No,
Okay.
thanks.
Brian, what do you think of Crystal?
She's on.
Leave the room
She's
again?
on,
Can we
Alec.
go out again? Are you good?
I like it
little-
better when she wears the
she's on
Captain Marvel outfit.
I am actually old. I have this.
Oh,
there you go.
you got the Infinity jewelry.
I do.
Yeah. I saw that on Instagram and I reposted it. It was like karma heaven. Anytime I posted that Infinity jewelry that Scarlett Johansson was wearing, I just got massive likes, massive upvotes. It was easy.
Yeah.
It was internet
Well,
points all
her and Brie
around.
Larson both wore it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
actually.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
they both did. I liked Scarlett Johansson's version better.
Of course. Of course.
You know me and Brie.
We got to talk about that today. Is that
We
gonna
don't,
happen?
me and Brie don't see eye to eye.
I'm gonna say that the performance from there, because it's gonna come up. The performance there reminded me a lot of an arrogance that was portrayed with the Thor character, not necessarily Chris Hemsworth, but the Thor character.
Right.
In the first movies, it was very harkened to that. There's a lot of ego involved
Right.
with the character. I don't know if she has an arc with that coming up, or that's just how they've decided to kind of distance her from everybody else. And we can talk about the drama video that came out with her and Don Cheadle and all of them. It is interesting. But
Yeah,
right
we
after
talked
that, there was
about
a great interview she had with Scarlett Johansson. And Scarlett Johansson actually said some very nice things. Like, it was actually a very comfortable, very nice, friendly interview between the two of them.
Yeah,
So-
Shay and I broke that down. If you check out our channel, we have a whole thing about the drama between them, and it's really not as big as people make
It's
it.
not.
Yeah, it's not.
Actually, it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
Listen,
It's-
I actually think that this is typical YouTube bullshit because I watched every video with the Don Cheadle video, the Jeremy Red. I watched some of the and I'm like, they're just screwing around. That's what happens when you spend so much time with people on set. You start you start fracking with each other. And that is typical. I saw those.
Did
I
you
go,
say fracking with each other?
A nice
Cracking
BSG
each
reference.
Yeah, nice best circle. That's a good term, brother. I like that.
Right?
Did you use that one at
I
least
can
once
throw the
every
filter
day?
My
Like
new
everyone.
term is flirkin. I use flirkin instead of fracking.
Flirking. That's a good one too. Anyway, yeah, I think that's all a bunch
You
of bullshit.
flirking with me, bro?
YouTube survives on all the drama.
Oh yeah, no, there were horrendously titled videos on YouTube. Absolutely, a bash of horrendously titled ones. Just meant
it's all clickbait. It's all bullshit clickbait.
But there was
except
something
for our video. Our video wasn't clickbait,
down, and I'm not going to disagree. There was something that there were some moments I'm watching that I'm going.
There's some weirdness there, right, Crystal?
There's some weird. No. I freely admit it. But what I said in my last video. Oh, so sorry, I'm talking over you.
No. I'm sorry. I did the same thing to you. But they tell me the Jeremy Renner interview was weird, right?
Yeah, that was weird.
Look at her.
Like,
that was weird.
It's especially when you compare it to interviews that are really fun to watch all the time. With which you see with the rest of the cast members. So one thing I said before was, I'm waiting for the book to come out. I don't know who's going to write it first, but I'm interested to see, is this going to be a case of the new kid on the block coming into the neighborhood and not understanding that they're the new kid on the block with some people, because others it seemed to be okay, with others it didn't jive, or is this just abrasive and some, was this isolated? Is this everybody? What's going on? Like, because it could be as simple as that, as starting off on the wrong foot. Because Brie Larson got thrown into the middle of something that these
was big.
People spent 10 years building, and she's new kid on the block, and maybe that.
Yeah, you got to watch our video, Crystal. You have clearly not seen our video. I have an analogy. It's awesome how when I was working at Staples, I was injected into a crew of people that have been there for 10 years, and they didn't like me, and I'm telling you.
You were stealing, though. You were stealing.
I was stealing. But
okay.
I was also very cocky, and people didn't like the cocky guy that comes in, 7 years into a 10-year deal and just starts doing whatever he wants. So same concept. I agree with you completely, Crystal.
A lot of difference between cocky and confident. And I think that's what we're dealing with here, is we're dealing with cockiness versus confidence. And I think she doesn't know the difference between the two, and that's what's causing so many problems. And it's bleeding over into her character. And now you're starting to see flashes of the outside Brie Larson. A lot of people are like, I'm not sure if I like her. And then all of a sudden she's like, but that's okay. Thor came in that way, like you said. And some of the people are very, but is he cocky or is he confident? I don't know. Is he a god? She's a god? I don't know what the deal is.
I do believe that there was an interpretation. Because I will say this, because I saw the comments as they comment on Thor, and he's like throwing the mug, he's doing this, and he said, why did he suddenly lose his status as the god of thunder? Well, because he was arrogant, because he didn't deserve it anymore. And people have a reaction, sorry to say, when it's a man who needs a little bit of fixing.
Oh, yeah.
Than they do to a woman who is just going to get written off for being arrogant. I'm going to do this my way. But I will admit, one thing that I kept watching in Endgame was there was a way they could have done that scene for her to become a more endearing person. And I feel that they kept missing opportunities.
Good
consistently with her.
Yeah,
another way they could have done that.
A lot of the it's not even a word, but funness that her character kind of had in the Marvel movie.
Yeah.
In the Captain Marvel movie, didn't come over to the Endgame movie. She was just very serious the whole time. When really in that Captain Marvel movie, she was making jokes, having a good time, and that was lost in here. But also, I think a lot of people were super worried because there's all the drama with Brie Larson and Captain Marvel. I don't pay attention to that because what's off screen is off screen. What's on screen is on screen. That's
exactly
about what's on screen. And I think a lot of people were like, oh, she's going to take over our Avengers movie. No, she came in, she made an appearance, she helped out a little bit, and then she was gone. I completely forgot about her, really. She checked in once in a while. And then by the time at the very end, when she comes through and goes through that ship, I forgot she existed until that happened. I was like, oh, cool, that's right. Captain Marvel's around.
They utilized her right in this movie. And I like that moment when she came in and took out the ship. That was like a
still
cool
an
moment.
Avengers movie. Still their movie.
And when she was about to, for a minute there, when she grabbed Thanos, I was like, oh, she better not be the one that defeats Thanos. I don't want that to happen.
I didn't think she would do that.
It needs to be Captain America or Iron Man. One of those two guys need to be the ones that take him out. And we got what we wanted, so.
Yeah, they wouldn't have done that. They wouldn't have done this. Here's the thing. This was an Avengers movie, okay?
Right.
Legit Avengers movie. It's about the Avengers, yet literally, not even figuratively, or it kind of feels like literally every single character from every single movie was in this movie.
Right.
Right.
The entire universe was here, was represented. Even side people in those movies were represented. And I was like, whoa, why are they even in here?
Yeah. Why was like Black Panther's mom there?
Yeah, with everybody there.
Now you're in trouble. I brought my mom.
It was still just about the Avengers.
Yeah.
Even though everybody was in there kicking some butt.
I did feel like there were some characters that probably didn't need to be in that final battle scene, only because, like, I love Pepper Potts, but, like, Pepper Potts? Really? Black Panther's mom?
I have a question about that, because Civil War is the only movie I never finished watching. I was just in a bad mood and I wasn't feeling it, and I was like, okay, they'll get there. They'll make up maybe at the end, whatever. Did Pepper Potts get suited up at some point?
No.
In Iron Man 3.
In Iron Man 3, she had the virus or whatever it was.
Right.
And
the Extremis virus.
Extremis virus. She gets all like glowy and she kicks some butt when she gets angry. But that's about it. They didn't really set too much up for the rescue armor. I love the rescue armor idea, but she was utilizing the armor like she was already a full-blown superhero.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
trained.
I get it. They wanted her. That was her last time movie. I completely get it. But
also, you needed her there for the end of Iron Man,
right?
The end of Tony. Yeah. That was important. I'm glad she was there for that.
That rescue armor is sick, though, man. With the flying pieces everywhere, that was amazing.
Like the best suit.
She should always be wearing that. I wouldn't. If I was her, I wouldn't even take it off. I would just live in that armor.
Tony tried that once. It was weird.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's right.
All right. So let's talk about each one of you. Give me 3 of your favorite moments from the movie. The 3 moments that you were like, you were cheering, you were crying, you were like, oh, that's cool, whatever. And we'll start down with JP.
Okay, because everyone's going to have some really big moments to talk about. I'll skip the really big moments because they were amazing. We all know they were amazing. So I'm going to try to pick the little moments that I loved. I loved the opening with Hawkeye and his family. That was just the right dang tone. As soon as it started, that scene right there just put me right back into the movie. I was ready for anything at that point. My heart had the feels inside of it. I love that whole thing, and I never really cared much about Hawkeye, Hawkeye, and that scene really brought me in. I loved the Stan Lee cameo.
Ah, yes.
First off, I was like, I totally forgot. I was kind of thinking that Captain Marvel had the last Stan Lee cameo, but of course they didn't. They were making all this stuff at the same time.
Yeah.
So we got the Stan Lee cameo, though I loved the Captain Marvel cameo, but this was really funny. Him driving by with his lady in 1970, and he's talking about something, whatever, talking about against the yeah. That was my favorite. That was a nice little moment, and not necessarily a moment, but I just love the time travel aspect. I am such a time travel. I'm a sucker for that stuff. So when they go back in time and you see them in all the previous Avengers movies, I thought that was just incredible to give us that, to really tie things together.
Yeah.
Not only did they tie the universe together, all the other movies, but they tied themselves together to their previous movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought that was brilliant.
I agree.
All right. Let's go up to Shane. Shane, you tell me 3 moments.
Well, let me tell you, I will say, just to piggyback on JP right there, I have to agree that I thought that was really great moment. But my favorite moment, I think, and I'm going to go ahead and take a big moment here, was when Thor's hammer is sailing across the sky, and you think that Thor has summoned the hammer, and then you realize Captain America has it. And I think that for me personally, that was the magnum opus of the whole movie.
Yeah.
Was that show that Captain America was worthy. To wield that hammer, and he just kicks a major butt. And then of course to end that with the scene where he's basically got his butt kicked by Thanos.
Yeah, I jaloja'd at that moment.
You're right.
I just jaloja'd everywhere.
right? He
Oh,
stands
Shane,
up,
how about when him and Thor were switching up between the axe and the hammer? And Thor's like, no, here, you take the little one, I'll take that.
You take the little one, yeah. No, that was fantastic. And then, of course, Captain America standing there, and you got all the armies of Thanos, and he's there, and he's tired, and he's like, he's just, it's such a great metaphor for, I think for the heart of Americans and the way we kind of look at, we're going to stand and fight for what we believe in no matter what. And then to have, of course, his buddy Sam say, on your left.
On your left. It's great.
That was the moment, man. That was the moment. Then all those gold things start coming up. Great.
Yeah.
Hair on the back of my neck stood up. Little tear came down my face.
It was amazing. And then, of course, I like all the Back to the Future references. Like, I like the movie was basically Back to the Future 2 in a lot of ways, where they're dipping and dodging their first initial selves, like Michael J. Fox did in Back to the Future 2. And then they make fun of time travel in this movie.
Yeah.
And they just kind of pick on all the different time travel tropes, and they're making fun of it, which is exactly what they should have done. So
yeah, Don Cheadle had that moment where he's just breaking down all the different logics. Are we talking Bill
like,
and
here's what everything I know.
yeah, he said Bill and Ted's. I'm like, yeah, you threw it in there.
I know, it was great. All right, Crystal, 3 favorite moments.
Okay, first a shout out to Michael Weir, because he mentioned one of my favorite moments, which is Thor Bowski.
Dude, it was great. Yes.
New Asgard, basically. That whole scene was great. I thought that was a great break in how the film was going. It was perfectly timed. Loved it. Didn't go for too long. Wasn't too short. So I have 3 light moments. One is the diner, meeting the Hulk in the diner, and it's new Hulk. It's Hulk plus
Professor Hulk.
Professor Hulk, Banner Hulk. That was cool. And the picture, the kids want the picture, and I thought that was funny. Tony Stark getting to actually talk to his dad.
Yeah, that was great.
I thought that was great, especially knowing what happened to him.
Yeah,
that was really cool that got to happen. And along those lines, that Tony and we got to see Pepper Potts and Tony have this conversation in front of the fireplace, and Pepper Potts just gets it. It's like, she's always been.
I get it.
She knew, which would explain why she kind of got herself all ready for a battle. This wasn't a surprise, but and then I mean, if they were the big moments, it would be the arrival at the end of Captain standing by himself, and you see the circles coming, like, oh, they're all coming, and you've forgotten all these characters, and here they are again.
Yeah,
amazing.
More and more faces kept showing up on the screen. I'm like,
more and more, and then as Captain Marvel is there, you have the whole lady gang behind her, and it was like seeing the Avengers again. These are all well-developed characters. They're all ones that we've missed for a couple of movies, and there they were, and they were ready to go, and you knew that everyone else was in trouble. So those were the big ones.
And that was at that moment you're just smiling and going, Thanos, you are so fracked right now.
You are so flirked.
Kiss my flirkin. It's coming.
Kiss my flirkin.
Kiss my flirkin.
So, Brian, 3 moments.
My favorite moment, aside from, I'm going to piggyback, but then I'm going to give you a unique one, because the hammer thing with Captain America was just like sweet Geloja everywhere.
Got to see it.
The moment with Captain America, again, holding the shield, like he was about to stand there against the biggest, gnarliest army of scariest monster nightmare beings of all time. And he's like, all right, this is how I go. This is how I go. Whatever. Gotta do what I gotta do. And then the on your left was like, oh, it made me choke up. That was just so good. And then the moment where the guy next to me was blubbering, crying, was when Tony Stark's hologram said, I love you 3000. That guy lost it.
That was the moment.
Well, he was choking up during when Tony Stark died, but then that moment, that's when he was like,
dude, that choked me up too. That moment was awesome.
Dude, I love you 3000. That guy was like, he was holding it in the whole time. He was just like whimpering, but then when that happened, he let the floodgates go. He was crying. He had his head down between his legs. He couldn't handle it. I mean, I was like,
oh my God.
And then he was distracting me, because like if he wouldn't have been doing that, I might have been more emotionally connected to it, because I was feeling emotionally connected. But then that guy kept distracting me with his blubbering.
He stole your tears.
He did. I was like, it's hard to cry and like, get the watery eyes when the giant dude next to you is crying and like you're fighting emotions. Like, do I laugh right now at him or do I cry about what's going on on the screen? It's really difficult. It was like a weird assortment of emotions. This whole movie, which is an assortment of up and downs. It was insanity. This movie it's really the last of the great movies. I don't feel like we're gonna get a movie like this for a very long time.
Because as JP so rightly pointed out, this movie is 10 years in the making.
Right.
Right. This, so it's going to take that kind of build up again, in order to get something that everyone's waiting for with such bated breath. And so it's going to be a while till we get this. And there's so many, and I think as you all point out, there's so many moments in this movie. There's so many things. I mean, God, that's going to be hard for. So, my 3 moments, and I'll give you a little depth on each of them. So, the whole Tony and Howard Stark thing, when that was over, that was incredibly moving, and I'll tell you the 2 reasons why. One, because I cry every time I see Field of Dreams at that final scene when he asks his dad to play catch. I mean, I'm sorry. If you've got a dad and you have any sort of relationship with your dad, good or bad, that moment in Field of Dreams is like, it's for a guy. Girls don't always get it, but guys, it's just like, it ruins you. And that was better than Field of Dreams. I thought that moment with Howard Stark and talking about his granddaughter and the second part of why that moment was so good is because of Robert Downey Jr. Because he is an amazing actor, and he was able to sell that, and he sold it because you believed it. You really believed that moment was happening for him. So that was really epic for me. That moment. Second moment, yes, you mentioned it. Captain America gets Thor's hammer, right? That is it, because I'm a huge Captain America geek, as everyone knows. And I've been a Captain America fan for 53 years, since 1966. Wow. And yeah, I mean, I bought my first Tales of Suspense on the newsstand. I'm 58. So yeah, so I have a long history with Captain America. And Captain America is iconic. And there are moments that stand out for me in my collection of Captain America. In the Captain America, in JLA Avengers, the great George Perez Kurt Busiek issue. I mean, when he faces off against Batman, and Batman finally says, they're facing off, and Batman says, okay, you could beat me, but it's going to take you a little while. I was like, damn, Batman even knows Captain America can best him. So that was a huge moment, right? It's defining. And then in the same issue, when Superman says to Captain America, he says, you should lead this team. I mean, those are defining things about Captain America. And I felt like, because they say something about Captain America, really, they say what other people think about Captain America. And here we are, it wasn't Thor, but it was Mjolnir saying to Cap, you're worthy. And I think I practically jumped out of my seat. I know I cheered out loud when that moment happened.
Everybody did. Yeah.
That was it. And then the last moment, I'm going to break it into 2, because I'm not sure which one. I mean, the Captain America at the end, when he's sitting on the bench, God, what a wonderful, wonderful way to end Chris Evans' time as Captain America. I mean, and Chris Evans sold it, right? He just, you knew what would happen.
That makeup looked great.
It was awesome, wasn't it? That makeup was amazing.
I was like, that looks real. Did they
I know.
It's based on somebody else? Because
usually when you age people, it looks like makeup. Like, this looked legitimate. It almost looked like a different actor. Like, does he have a father we don't know about?
I've never seen realistic aged makeup before like that.
It always looks weird, like super uncanny, but not this time.
We saw it with Peggy before, right? We saw that looked really good on her too.
Yeah, and the fact that he saw Peggy back there and he couldn't do anything, but then we know what happened when he went back. That was a wonderful ending to the Cap arc. The other scene I'm just going to mention real quick, because I was like going to lose it, was Spider-Man and Iron Man reunion, right? Again, because Robert Downey Jr. sold it to me. Robert, when Spider-Man shows up,
nice. And Tom Holland is great. We all love
he's
him.
blabbering about, hey, Mr. Stark, blah, blah, and you just see in Robert Downey Jr.'s face, you just see the emotion because that hit him so hard and made him so bitter, and to have him back, what that meant to him. And so that was a wonderful moment. So I think what we got is, from all these moments that we've all felt, you see that. And just because I pointed out 3, you guys have different ones maybe, but all those moments were great, right?
Oh,
we could go we could probably have a whole show on top 20 Avengers Endgame moments.
Guys,
right?
we got the instant kill mode from the Spider-Man suit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. That's one of my favorite things to use when I play the PS4 Spider-Man game.
So great, because in that movie, when he's like, activate instant kill mode, and he goes, no, turn that off. You're like, everybody was like, we need to see what the instant kill mode does. And then we got to see that, and he was like just murdering aliens. It was a fantastic, dude.
Yeah, bunch of noobs, alien noobs.
But boy, and let me tell you, when it finally comes out, I'm telling you, the budget for this movie is at least $400 million. It's at least, not including marketing, which is probably another $150 million.
It's gonna make over $3 billion, guaranteed.
Yeah, probably. It'll be the highest grossing movie of all time for sure. And I will not be shocked a bit. I mean, I got to go back and see it a few more times. I mean,
yeah. It'll probably be one of the first movies in a long time that doesn't get the record, doesn't get taken over after a week or two.
Like the next week.
It might be years before somebody overtakes them.
Right. It'll be 15 years from now.
A decade-long arc.
It'll be 15 years from now, and it'll be Avengers 6 that does it.
Well, I guess we're going to be doing Avengers movies again, but it's going to be, a very different cast.
Yeah. And it'll be
which is a start. You got to start it over then.
Yeah. And so it'll be interesting to see when do we see a recasting, right?
I think you saw a recasting of Captain America at the end.
See, but that's not a recasting, because in the comic books, Sam becomes Captain America. So that's just part of this. That's just part of the story, right?
Yeah, it makes me wish they built up his character a little bit more, so that when he passes the torch, that we feel it more. Because right now I'm like, I barely know this dude. They use him just in and out a little bit. I don't feel that he's worthy. He can't carry Mjolnir, so he's just like, for me, Captain America only works because if you think about it nowadays, this day and age, Captain America could be considered cheesy, but it works because of his origin story. He started off in the 40s, during World War II, and he gets taken out of time, fish out of water. Totally works, kind of like Wonder Woman works. She'd be silly if you kind of think about it,
right?
Which is why Superman so often struggles in modern times, because he would be best as a period piece back in the 30s.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be a great movie.
Well, I got a prediction for you. I don't think Falcon holds on to that shield for very long. I think that Falcon probably bites it, and Bucky takes over the Captain America role.
Both of whom have played Captain America in the comics.
Right.
Yep.
And I'm basing that theory on comic books.
I'm sorry?
I'm basing that theory on the comic books.
Yeah. Right. Michael Weir points out that the young kid at the back of the crowd at the funeral was the kid in Iron Man 3 that Tony helped out. That's interesting.
I was wondering. I was like, who's that kid? Wasn't he kind of standing on his own?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I was like, who's that kid?
Yeah, well, there you go.
They put everybody in this movie. They had to spend a ton of money just to ship everybody in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It had to have cost a fortune.
Captain America girlfriend who didn't make it in, and that was
Yeah. What? Can we talk a little bit about the aging software? Because I got to tell you, I think it was it blew me away. The Michael Douglas.
They even did better this time than in the Ant-Man movie.
Even better.
It's crazy. It's crazy how good it is. And I actually brought up a whole theory to talk about what does this mean for actors who get older. It really makes more longevity for people acting older. They can just make them look a little younger, right?
Yeah.
Only if the movie's got an incredibly huge budget.
Right.
Sean Young get another paycheck.
Yeah, that Michael Douglas scene, because they made him younger in the Ant-Man movies, and it looked great, but you could kind of see the digitalness, there on the mat, what was going on. But in this one, they made him even younger.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Michael Douglas looking like that back in the day.
So do I.
So they made him younger, and and it was flawless. I was just the whole time I was looking to see if any of the.
I wonder if they're using
the
face swap tech with it, not just a de-aging, but if they're actually.
I bet you it's a swap.
And they're doing this, especially if they have film footage or something of him from before. They can.
I'm thinking they do a swap because his body is much different. Isn't tight and all that stuff like that.
Yeah, it's probably
like
deep. It's probably using the deep fake technology. That's been pretty prevalent the last few years. You know what?
Maybe they just gave him super Viagra.
That's possible too. Or Marvel has a time machine.
They can afford it.
I mean, they could afford it. Yeah.
Matt Groening is probably a time travel. I buy it. Why not Marvel Comics? Why not Disney?
All right. Well, we're going to wrap up our Avengers review there, and we're going to move on to Game of Thrones because this was one of the most epic episodes of Game of Thrones. Last night we saw it with the Battle of Winterfell. We've seen it coming. Yeah, Winterfell is coming.
Winter came.
And winter came in, and it was it was a wonderful episode. We've been building up for 2 episodes just for this battle, and for the past 2 episodes in Game of Thrones, they've been bringing all the characters to Winterfell. They've really been focused on nothing else, and all the different characters from all the different storylines, Jaime and Theon and Bran and Arya and Sansa and everyone coming together and Khaleesi and so we finally faced off. We knew they were coming, and we finally faced off. And this episode was just like what, an hour and a half, Crystal?
Hour and a half, yeah.
Almost, yep.
Yeah. It was really an epic episode that it was everything we wanted, I think.
Yeah.
But
it was
I really
Game of Thrones Endgame.
Crystal, and I will say Crystal is our resident expert on all things Game of Thrones. She's read the book. She listened to the podcast. She can talk about this ad nauseum. And in detail. So, so first of all, Crystal, how did the battle compare to the books?
All right, we're not there in the books.
The books,
the books haven't been written.
Oh, that's right.
Not even close.
We're beyond book territory.
R.R. Martin hasn't written them.
Which is important when we get to the fact that Arya is spoilers. Just gonna make that clear. Spoilers.
Yep, more
spoilers are coming. You better watch it. This is it. The only warning you get.
Wait, are these spoilers for the show or the book?
No, but the show is much farther along than the books.
Okay, so
what are you spoiling right now? Are you spoiling?
No, spoiling the episode. Just want to remind people.
Oh, okay, it's fine. I was gonna say, if you're about to say something about the show that I haven't heard, I have a problem with that.
No, but the other people would if they haven't seen this episode.
Gotcha. Guys, okay. Can I tell you how this went down with George and HBO?
Yeah.
This was George. They got to the end of the books, and George is like, "How do you guys think it ends?" And they're like, "Well, what if you did something like that?" He's like, "That's exactly it. Yeah, go. Let's watch this."
That's what I thought. Let's do that.
It was so they decided what happened at the end of this. Arya killed the Night King. They decided that 3 years ago. When I say they, I mean Dan and Dave.
Got it.
That is not what happens in the books. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be Arya in the books. This is only in the show.
Yeah,
all right.
Makes sense.
They decided it 3 years ago. There was no foreshadowing with Melisandre. They just used that. That was in the books. And then they're like, oh, okay, so let's say this because she said this 3 seasons ago. Right. So just so we'll get that out of the way.
I agree.
That was Dan and Dave that decided that. That's not it.
Yeah,
so
the showrunners, right?
The showrunners, yes.
Right.
And they will be directing the final episode.
Right.
So they have that all mapped out. But yes, the conversation that they had with George R. R. Martin when they came to him and they said that they wanted to be the ones that had the show. He's like, who do you think is Jon Snow's mother? Was the question George R. R. Martin asked him. And they said Lyanna Stark. And he said, you're right. You can have the rights. He's like, you figured it out. You're right. Because that's how much had been written. Like that's as far as George had gotten.
Mm-hmm. In all fairness, that's who we thought it was. So
yes, a lot of people figured it out, honestly.
Right.
Which
we
is
all
great.
Get the rights.
Yeah, we all do. We all get
the rights.
Ding.
So for a few things that I think should get a big shout out because I'm going to pick apart a few things on this episode. But I want to say this: they did something amazing with this episode. This was 55 nights of filming in -14 degrees.
Whoa!
It was 2 cold to snow. The cast and crew went through hell to do this. So I want to give them a huge shout out for that.
To be fair, they told them winter was coming.
We warned you. We warned you. This is where this was going to go.
We warned you.
Here's how much money we're giving you, but here's what you're going to, let's do this. But they were really also trying to get the director in on this, and he's, as we said, he's the same director who did Heart Home and Battle of the Bastards, and they really had to convince him what they wanted to do with us. I just forgot his name. I've known his name for weeks. Sapechnikov or something. I can't remember it. Somebody look it up quick. I just forgot it. Sapochnik, thank you. I love you guys. I love you guys on live chat. Sapochnik. So they did it in 3 acts, and that's 3 different film genres. The first act was suspense. The second act was horror, and the third act was action.
Ooh.
So that's where we get. So if you obviously suspense in the beginning, Aria with the zombies in the library, horror movie.
Yeah, it was great.
And then you have all of the action sequence in the end. I will acknowledge, and I agree, big complaint from the fans. I can't see half of what's going on.
Yes. Oh my God.
Thanks, Michael Bay.
See it.
Crystal,
so there are poor people.
I
Yeah,
want
go
to
ahead.
interject real quick because I have a TV that has the auto brightness feature. Okay.
Okay.
And this TV it's called calibrated bright, and basically it automatically brightens or darkens the screen so that you get a consistent tone.
Yeah.
And it's horrible watching Game of Thrones on this TV because it's brightening up to the point where you can see like the white diffusion and all that, like the JPEG diffusion.
Yeah.
And it was horrible. I had to go and turn off that setting just so I can watch Game of Thrones, and then it was too dark.
Yeah.
I couldn't see anything.
This was a big problem.
It's too dark.
Well, and I
it's
just
not the first time.
I read an article today that was specifically about this one point, and there's a couple articles about it, but there was a good article on CNET about it, and the article basically was a lot depended on your TV, and it literally had a guy who had an OLED TV and a regular HD TV, one on top of each other, and he was watching it, and it was 2 different shows you were watching. One was murky, and you can see, and the other was. And a lot of it has to do with the quality of the blacks that your TV can produce, whereas the OLEDs produce way better deep blacks as opposed to like the murky grays that a lot.
But I have an OLED. I have a brand new TV I bought last month. 72 4K. It was the best TV at Costco, and I'm telling you, it was too dark, dude. And even with the calibration settings, it was too dark. And in order to brighten it up, you can see the diffusion, which made it worse. And maybe it's because I was watching it streaming, because it was like streaming on the HBO app. Maybe
it was everybody. It was everybody.
Were the fans complaining about that a couple episodes ago as well?
Yes.
Yes. Every episode this season has been too dark.
So they've had to go through, especially the trailer. They did some teaser trailers that came out before the premiere of episode 1 for this season, and you had some people who all they do is Game of Thrones videos, so they always need to get the video up so they can break it down. They're like, we couldn't do this until I downloaded this program, or I had to go to my friend who had this program. We had to go through frame by frame and lighten this because I couldn't even see it. And I've tried it on 4K. This is a recurring problem. So there's some poor people I know right now that I've talked to that are doing this episode frame by frame. Because they can't do a full review on it because they can't see it.
Yeah, you can't see it.
That's
but
nuts.
One thing we did see, we had the trailer for the next one. We did, just so we're all clear, Ghost survives. Some people had questions about that. We do see Ghost. He's okay. He hightailed it out of there and saved his own butt. And then came back to Winterfell.
Just like a wolf.
The wolf is good.
Just like a wolf.
Rhaegal is good. She was hurt. I think it's a she. I may be wrong. But Rhaegal was hurt, but she.
That's the dragon?
Yeah, the smaller one, the green one.
Wait, so both dragons lived? Because that was another thing. Because it was so dark, I had no idea what dragon was biting what dragon.
We only know that because they showed the green dragon in the trailer for the next one.
Is it green? I didn't even know it was green.
Rhaegal is green.
Really? I can't tell.
Tyrion was gold. Drogon is red, black. and then Rhaegal is green.
Dude, they got brighten the colors on these dragons because every time they're in the air together, I have no idea which one's
Unless they're in marine, you can't tell, and you certainly could tell in this episode. You could not tell.
And when they were fighting with each other, and one of the dragons bites the other dragon, I'm like, oh crap! What dragon bit what dragon?
Yeah, Drogon bit Viserion, which is why we see like the blue flames coming out of the throat.
Oh, is that what that was?
With the half broken jaw.
I just saw little lights.
Is that why Viserion was so pissed? He was on the ground just like
after Jon, and that was insane. I'm like, because the books tend to foreshadow that Jon would be the one to have the final fight with the Night King, but Viserion was blocking Jon from going anywhere near where Bran and the Night King were.
Yeah, he couldn't get to him.
No, but this is how dark it was. To Alec, it looked like Bran stabbed the Night King after picking up Arya's knife. But going back, Arya just pulled the same trick she did with Brienne.
Right.
Dropped the knife, caught it with her hand, and went up underneath his vest.
Which was sick. And that was the exact place that the Night King was originally cursed from. That's how you kill him. You got to hit him in the exact place.
He was in the Riverlands. He was at the he was in the
No. On his body. That's what she stabbed him where the dragon glass had originally gone in to curse him or whatever. Yeah.
Which is weird because he's that was her what I couldn't see was that was the dragon glass dagger, or was that
that was the Valyrian steel.
That was the paw. That was the cat's paw dagger.
Yeah, okay. She used the Valyrian steel.
Like he can't be stabbed with dragon glass. It's not going to work.
She used the one weapon, or whatever, one metal, or whatever that can kill him is the Valyrian steel into that same exact area. It was just sort of a perfect lineup of events for her.
Because fire did nothing. Which makes sense if he had dragon glass inside of him too. Dragon glass is supposed to be tied to
I have a theory about that. I think he's actually originally Targaryen.
Which is also a possibility. Or a Stark Targaryen. We don't know how far back their bloodlines go. We know that there were dragons that were supposed to be in Winterfell at a point a long time ago. But yeah, well, that's part of the reason I think Rhaegal is a girl. Because there's like foreshadowing of Dance of Dragons and the Last of the Eggs. So George R.R. Martin has stated that dragons can change their sex, just like other reptiles can.
Like Jurassic Park.
Like Jurassic Park, nature finds a way.
Nature finds a way.
Finds a way. So
whatever.
If that's the case, then Daenerys and Rhaegal may both be pregnant. Who knows?
All right, or maybe Jon will be pregnant.
Who's Jon?
Because nature will find a way.
Yeah.
Him and Samwise, they're gonna spawn little John Samwise babies.
Yeah, that's gonna be weird.
Are you surprised that Samwise somehow lived through all that? I'm sitting there watching my wife. She's like, "Is Sam still alive?" I'm like, "I don't know."
He is alive, but I feel like I'm not 100% happy with how helpless they made him in this. Like they set him up to hold his own. Maybe one bad moment, maybe one time he needed to be saved, and then he rises up. Because he was in there. Like you gotta give it to him.
Surrounded by zombies, he's still alive.
He's still alive.
How is that? I'm not buying that.
Yeah, I'm not buying that either. Yeah. Dude, I always have a hard time buying the fact that Brienne was still alive, let alone Samwise.
It kept looking like they were just going down, down, and down, and very much like that moment in Battle of the Bastards. Like they're going down, they're going down.
Dude, watching Game of Thrones with my wife is a nightmare because she sits there and she narrates everything. It's like, oh my God, he did that, and he did that. I'm like, babe, I get it. I can see we're watching the same thing. But that moment where it shows at the end where they all disappear, they all like fade away because the Night King died, and it shows Brienne and Jaime, and she's like, how are they still alive? And she said exactly what I was thinking. How are they still? I don't know, because they're being piled on. The zombies are piling on top of them. How the hell are they still alive?
Game of Thrones is unrealistic.
Yeah, I guess.
That's what does it for you. That's that they survive the attack, not the dragons, not the magic. It's that they survive the zombies.
I mean,
that's what got you.
Well, when Jon stood up versus that blue, let's face it, it's not a dragon. Once it's been winterfied, it's a wyvern. When she stands up against the wyvern, and he's like, ah! I'm like,
reference.
I was like, yeah, Jon, that's gonna work. Scream at him.
It's like a good, yeah. That worked for Lyanna. It's not working for you.
Right.
So there's a great moment.
Thank God your sister saved your butt because he was about to eat you. That's what.
Yeah, and isn't it interesting that both Jon and Daenerys, like neither of them really accomplished much in this
They
episode.
didn't accomplish anything. Yeah.
They didn't follow the plan. They were supposed to stay there
They just flew
until
around.
it was time to light the trench. And she's
Yeah.
like, no, we got to go fight now.
Yeah.
I'm being asked if Bran did something useful. I don't know yet. Now, as far as I know,
What the hell did the Bran do?
No, Bran did something useful.
Something nice to Theon in the end. That's
He
all
was
that he
bait.
did. And by the way, Theon
was
didn't
bait.
need to die. I was pissed off about this. All Theon needed to do was stand behind the wheelchair for another 2 minutes. That's all he had to do. And he
Okay.
would have been fine.
He
You
wouldn't
didn't
have
have
known
to
that.
kill Theon. Really? You're just going to let him run toward the guy who's going to kill? He all he has to do is stand behind you.
I
Some
gotta
sort
be
of
honest,
spear
though.
you are.
That was the
God.
one death I liked, was when he died, because I feel
Leanna
like
had a good death.
that was
Theon
a-
had a pointless death.
it was pointless, but it was still a courageous death.
Very,
It
very.
certainly was. Yeah.
But all he had to do was stand behind Bran. All had to get behind me. That's all
Right.
Bran had to say was stand behind me.
Bran was useless this episode. He was just bait. I was
Why
actually,
was he the Ravens? Like, where did they go? What did they did nothing? They
Why
did
did
nothing.
they-
Yeah,
his
I
eyes
was
go
like,
back in
where
his
did those
head.
Ravens go?
and the Ravens are
There's
flying
something
around. Like, what's the purpose?
Yeah,
Dude, you know what's
so-
crazy?
so the fire
83%
came
of this
down.
episode
Yeah.
bothered me until that very last moment. I was actually annoyed because it was all going so poorly. My wife is like,
Plan.
aren't these people smarter than this? I'm like, I thought they were. It just seems like everybody just doesn't know what to do at this moment.
They're all inbred.
And,
All of them.
Tyrion,
Most
the
of
one
them.
guy that has a brain, is stuck in the crypts. Guys, how can no one see the fact that the crypts, where the dead bodies are, is a bad place to
He's
hide?
gonna come out. Yes, and which
on.
they also foreshadowed that the kings would
Yeah.
rise again. So not all of them, but the ones that didn't have the swords over their laps anymore, which is directly out of the books. The swords were supposed to keep the ghosts at bay in there. So that's why Ned didn't come out, because his sword across his lap on his tomb was still intact.
I would have liked to have seen that, by the way.
That would have been weird. But he was protecting. There he is, still blocking Sansa in the last moment. Like
Oh,
she's
that's true.
behind his tomb and having this great moment with Tyrion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna make little big-headed babies.
That's good. That's the so Lannister and Stark is York and Lancaster. Like it seems inevitable that they would be. Technically, they're still married. Honestly,
Yeah, technically, yeah.
nobody
make
annulled
make
anything.
some big-headed little babies.
I-
Just
they're
giant
just-
little Tyrions running around with
They're going to be adorable little redheaded babies.
yeah,
Gonna be
with big
adorable.
heads, with big
Smoky,
giant heads.
Smoky Mirrors makes a good point, which I thought the same thing. He's like, he's yelling at, so why did you put the catapults and trebuchets in front of the formation? Put it on the towers inside the castle.
No
Face bomb.
joke.
Yeah, who
This
puts trebuchets at the front? That's kind of stupid.
Yeah,
This wasn't tactical. This had to do with how they were going to try and build a suspense with the flames going out in the darkness before we see the wave come.
Right.
And so all of the fire, the trebuchets, the fiery hand that Melisandre did bring back with her, technically, it was, snuffed out in the first 30 seconds. It was just
Yeah, all those poor Dothraki, man, they just got wasted.
yeah. I love it when they were all writing back, like, nope, screw this.
Nope.
This is not working. I'm out.
When
dumb.
the
right now.
Yeah.
I was gonna watch the show until you guys, just broke it down like this. Now forget about it. So-
Why does it say, hey, it
I got-
says
It's a
on
great
live
piece
stream.
of filming, honestly.
Hey guys, it says live streams offline.
What?
What?
It shouldn't be
Okay.
offline.
I'm just looking at the
It
live
should be
feed. and it says
online.
offline.
I'm on the front end and we're still going.
Are we?
Yeah.
I'm looking at it. It says live stream offline.
No, we're
33
fine.
watching.
Says we're good.
Yeah, you're scaring me, Alec. You're scaring me.
Yeah, we're good.
Hey, Crystal, I got a question. When the Red
Yeah.
Witch said, "I'm gonna die at dawn," and then she walks
Yeah.
out,
I'm gonna die at
"I'm gonna
dawn.
die at dawn, son."
They should have.
I got a question.
I-
Is that because the magic of the amulet is gonna go out when Night King dies, or what?
So here's what I would have done to answer that question, but what do I know? The amulet should have just fallen off. And she shouldn't have pulled it off. She should have started to get weak, walk out, and just have it fall off of her because it's used, it's done, and it's not just the amulet or her, it's the combination of the two that made her powerful. So as one goes, the other goes.
So,
and they should-
but the amulet the magic
We're
is
not-
leaving the amulet because the Night King's dead.
Or her use is over, or that's how long she had, or that's how much time the amulet was going to buy her.
They should have shown
no
the amulet
explanation.
like the light going out or something. Because
Before,
when
it should have been dying. The amulet should have died before she took it off. Like, it makes
Right.
no sense that she just took it off.
'Cause she
Hey,
took
we've
it
still
off.
got stuff to fight. Where are you going?
Yeah.
Like,
Thank you.
what is
All
going
right.
on? So, yeah, no, that felt weird to me too.
It took her far too long to start the fire too. I'm like, you guys, she starts fires without any
Makes
issue, and then that one moment where she actually has to do it quickly, it takes her 10 minutes.
But they did show her getting distracted by zombies. So
I got it.
maybe.
And
Okay,
they're trying-
guys.
so
Live
Alex,
stream's officially off now.
is it off?
Uh,
Yep,
oh,
it's over.
there it goes.
I didn't turn it off, guys.
It says live stream offline.
Like,
That's what I've been telling you.
No spoilers, YouTube says.
I was gonna watch the show until you guys, just broke it
No
down.
spoilers, YouTube says.
Took it down.
No spoilers, YouTube says.
I don't know what's going on. I didn't turn it off.
Oh, now we're back on.
We're back on. We're back on.
I didn't.
It's just-
I didn't
We're
turn it
fighting
off.
with YouTube.
well, we got to wrap it up anyway. Listen, we got to wrap this one up.
Okay,
anyway.
I did not do that. I didn't turn this off. I have no idea what's happening right now.
YouTube is blocking us from. Is also keeping our video from. Is also keeping it from the stuff. We're fighting with YouTube right now. Ugh.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen,
Yep.
for those of you who are still here, thank you very much. We appreciate it. We will be back next week where we will abuse some more movies and TV shows. We got to get to Discovery, the end of Discovery. That's a big one we need to talk about. And we'll get to the end of Orville as well. As well. See if if Avengers Endgame has crossed $2 billion by next week.
Can we address what happened when the stream went out? Okay, Alex stood up, took his shirt off. He started chanting the Dothraki chant, and it was really
Showed his
quite
tattoos.
impressive. We're gonna
The
have to get a
tattoos.
repeat of that next week, Alec.
There's Jason Momoa tattoos.
Yeah, dude, I didn't know you sported ink like that. It's impressive.
Well, dude, I'm dating a girl that's 20-something years younger than me. I gotta
Alan,
act
thank
the
you
part.
for the $5. Thank
You're
you guys. We have
20-something
Alan,
years
Michael
younger
Weir,
than him? That's incredible.
Shane, thank you so much. And
You're welcome.
we tried to cover the other Shane Freud. Freund.
Yeah.
But you too. Yes, we love you. Yeah, just want to make sure we got all the super chats covered.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you all next week.
Thank you guys.
Sorry about the weird stream problem. Love you.
It sucks.
Love you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Hey, I love you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.